The sand stretched forever under the orange sky. Taemin wiped sweat from his forehead and checked his scanner again. The numbers didn't lie. Something massive was buried 200 meters below his feet. Got something? Jiwoo called from the excavator. His sister climbed down from the machine, her boots crunching on the hot sand. She was younger by 3 years, but twice as smart when it came to the equipment. Big energy reading, Taemin said. Not like anything we've found before. Donghyun walked over, the old veteran's face creased with years of desert work. He'd been salvaging in the Gobi expansion zone for 30 years. Let me see that. Taemin handed him the scanner. Donghyun's eyes went wide. That's impossible, the old man whispered. This signature, it's active. Whatever's down there is still running. After how long? Jiwoo asked. Could be centuries. Could be longer. Donghyun looked at Taemin. This is your claim, kid. What do you want to do? Taemin thought about it. They were 3 weeks into their salvage contract. So far they'd found nothing but scrap metal and broken satellites. This could change everything. Or it could be nothing. We dig, he said. It took them 6 hours. The excavator's drill bit through sand and rock, sending up clouds of dust that turned the sunset red. Jiwoo monitored the depth while Donghyun kept the machine steady. Taemin watched the scanner, his heart beating faster as the signal grew stronger. At 190 meters, the drill hit something solid. Not rock, metal, stop! Taemin yelled. The excavator went quiet. In the sudden silence, Taemin could hear his own breathing. Jiwoo climbed down into the hole they'd made, carrying a portable light. Taemin followed. The light hit metal. Smooth, dark metal that didn't look scratched or damaged. Jiwoo touched it carefully. It's cold, she said. In this heat, it should be warm. Donghyun joined them, moving carefully down the sand slope. He ran his hand across the surface. This isn't any alloy, I know. Look, no corrosion, no wear. They dug around the edges for another hour, exposing more of the object. It was huge. The curve of the metal suggested something at least 50 meters long, maybe more. It's a ship, Taemin said softly. A spacecraft? Buried in the desert? Jiwoo shook her head. How? The Gobi wasn't always desert, Donghyun said. 200 years ago, this was grassland. Before that, who knows? Taemin found a seam in the metal. It looked like a panel or a door. Without thinking, he pressed his hand against it. Light exploded across the surface. Blue symbols appeared, flowing like water across the metal. Taemin jerked back, but the symbols followed his hand. Then words formed. Human words in a language Taemin could read. Genetic scan complete, identity confirmed. Welcome back, Admiral. Admiral? Jiwoo read over his shoulder. Taemin, what did you do? More words appeared. It has been 500 years, 7 months, 14 days since last contact, awaiting orders. The panel slid open with a soft hiss. Air rushed out, stale but breathable. Inside was darkness, and then lights began to glow one by one, revealing a corridor. We should call this in, Donghyun said. His voice was shaky. Call in what? Jiwoo asked. A ship that knows Taemin's DNA? Taemin stared at the open door. His hand was still tingling where he'd touched the panel. I'm going inside. That's crazy, Jiwoo said. Probably. Taemin stepped through the door. The corridor was clean. Too clean for something buried in the desert for centuries. The lights grew brighter as he walked, as if the ship was waking up around him. Donghyun and Jiwoo followed close behind. The corridor opened into a large room. Control stations lined the walls, all dark. In the center was a chair. A captain's chair, Taemin realized. Above it, a hologram flickered to life. It was a woman's face, or something like one. Made of blue light, her features were sharp and clear. Greetings, the face said. I am Sentinel, artificial intelligence of the vessel Eternal Vigil. You are recognized as Admiral Kang Hyun-woo, genetic authority confirmed. I'm not an admiral, Taemin said. My name is Taemin. Just Taemin. The hologram tilted its head. Genetic analysis indicates you are a direct descendant of Admiral Kang Hyun-woo, 7th generation. Command authority transfers to bloodline in the Admiral's absence. Who was Admiral Kang? Jiwoo asked. Admiral Kang Hyun-woo commanded the First Fleet of Humanity's interstellar expansion, Sentinel said. Launch date March 15, 2347, 500 years ago. Taemin felt cold. The First Fleet? They were all destroyed. Everyone knows that. Negative, Sentinel replied. The First Fleet was not destroyed. They completed their mission and could not return. This vessel was left behind as insurance and as a message. A message for who? Dong-hyun asked. For the Admiral's descendants? For humanity's future? For the day when this ship would be needed again? Taemin sat down in the captain's chair without meaning to. It adjusted to fit him perfectly. Why now? Why wake up after 500 years? Because the conditions for activation have been met, Sentinel said. A descendant of the Admiral has been located. The ship has detected signals indicating galactic conditions have changed, and most importantly, a distress beacon has been received from the First Fleet's last known position. They're still alive? Jiwoo's voice was barely a whisper. Unknown. The beacon is automated, but it indicates a critical situation. The hologram's face looked directly at Taemin. Admiral Kang left specific instructions. If this vessel ever activates, his descendant is to complete the mission he began. What mission? That information is locked in the data vault. It will open when we reach our destination. And where is that? The galactic core. Approximately 30,000 light-years from Earth. The room went silent. Taemin looked at his sister, then at Dong-hyun. They both looked as shocked as he felt. That's impossible, Taemin finally said. Our fastest ships take years just to reach the outer colonies. This vessel does not use conventional propulsion, Sentinel said. We can reach the galactic core in 14 days. 14 days, Taemin repeated. To cross the galaxy. Correct. Taemin stood up. His legs felt weak. I need to think. We need to call someone. The government, the military. Inadvisable, Sentinel interrupted. Admiral Kang's final orders were clear. This vessel and its mission must remain secret until the proper time. Premature disclosure could endanger Earth. Endanger Earth from what? From the truth, Sentinel said simply. From knowledge humanity was not ready to receive 500 years ago, and may still not be ready for now. Taemin walked to the viewport. Through the ship's walls, somehow he could see through the walls, he saw the desert, the stars beginning to appear in the darkening sky. His whole life, he'd been a salvager. Finding scraps, selling them, surviving, and now a ship was telling him he was the heir to an admiral who disappeared 500 years ago. That humanity's greatest disaster might not have been a disaster at all. I'm nobody, he said quietly. I'm not a soldier, not a leader. Admiral Kang was a mining engineer before the war, Sentinel replied. He was chosen not for his rank, but for his character. The genetic markers I detect in you suggest you share his qualities. Compassion, courage, the willingness to sacrifice for others. You can tell all that from my DNA? I can tell that from the fact that you entered this ship to protect your companions. That you work to support your sister. That you treat Dong-hyun with respect despite his lower status. These things speak louder than genetics. Taemin turned back to face the hologram. What if I say no? What if I just walk away? Then I will wait, Sentinel said. As I have waited for 500 years. But the distress beacon continues. And whatever is happening at the galactic core will eventually reach Earth. The question is whether humanity faces it prepared or unprepared. Jiwoo touched Taemin's arm. Brother, this is too big for us. I know, but it's also real, she continued. This ship is real. The Admiral was your ancestor. Maybe we're here for a reason. Dong-hyun cleared his throat. I've lived 70 years, kid. Seen a lot of things. Never seen anything like this. But I'll tell you what I think. That AI could have opened the door for anyone. Could have claimed anyone as the Admiral's heir. But it waited for you. That means something. Taemin closed his eyes. He thought about his life, about the endless desert, about the small apartment he shared with Jiwoo in the salvage town. He thought about his parents dead in a mining accident when he was 12. He thought about the stories his grandmother used to tell about ancestors who'd done great things. He'd never believed those stories. He opened his eyes. Show me the ship, he said to Sentinel. All of it. Then I'll decide, the hologram smiled. As you command, Admiral. The ship was bigger than Taemin had imagined. Sentinel guided them through corridors that seemed to extend forever, through rooms filled with equipment he didn't recognize, past windows that showed impossible views of space even though they were still buried underground. How is it so big? Jiwoo asked, touching a wall that hummed with energy. From outside it looked maybe 50 meters long. Spatial compression technology, Sentinel explained. The interior space is folded. What appears small from outside contains much more within. That's not possible, Dong-hyun muttered, but he didn't sound convinced anymore. They reached what Sentinel called the data vault. It was a circular room with a pillar of light in the center. Images floated in the light. Faces, places, star maps that Taemin didn't understand. This vault contains the complete record of the First Fleet's mission, Sentinel said. Admiral Kang's personal logs. The truth about what happened 500 years ago. Why not just tell us? Taemin asked. Because some information must be seen to be believed, and because the Admiral wanted his heir to understand the choice he made, not just the facts. Taemin approached the pillar. Show me. The light expanded, surrounding him. Suddenly, he wasn't on the ship anymore. He was standing on a bridge, watching stars rush past. Men and women in uniforms worked at stations around him. And in the captain's chair sat a man who looked like Taemin might look in 20 years. Admiral Kang Hyun-woo. This is a recording, Sentinel's voice said, from the final day of the First Fleet's journey to Earth. Taemin watched as his ancestor gave orders, made decisions, led his crew with quiet confidence. Then the view changed. They were approaching a massive structure in space, a ring of light so large it could swallow a star. What is that? Taemin whispered. The conduit, Sentinel answered, an ancient network built by a civilization that died millions of years ago. It connects the galaxy, allowing faster-than-light travel across impossible distances. Humans built that? No, we discovered it. And the beings who guard it. The recording showed ships emerging from the ring, not human ships. These were organic-looking, beautiful, and terrifying at the same time. And then the view showed their crews, aliens and in dozens of different species all gathered around the conduit. Some looked almost human. Others were so strange that Taemin's mind struggled to understand what he was seeing. First contact, Jiwoo breathed. The First Fleet made first contact. Yes, Sentinel confirmed. But it was not what humanity expected. The galaxy was already full of life, thousands of intelligent species living under an ancient law enforced by the Wardens. Wardens, the recording showed them, beings of pure energy, vast and incomprehensible. When they spoke, Taemin felt the words in his bones. The Wardens are ancient artificial intelligences, Sentinel explained. They maintain the conduit and enforce the rules. Young species like humanity must prove themselves worthy before they can join galactic civilization. If they fail, they are quarantined to their home system forever. That's not fair, Jiwoo said. Fair or not, it is the law, and the test is difficult. Admiral Kang and the First Fleet were given a choice. They could return to Earth and tell humanity the truth, that we were children in a galaxy full of adults restricted and watched. Or they could accept a mission that would prove humanity's worth, but at a terrible cost. Taemin watched his ancestor's face in the recording, saw him age in moments as he thought about the decision, saw him look at his crew, at the stars, at the impossible choice before him. What was the mission? Taemin asked. To become guardians, Sentinel said. The conduit is under constant threat from an ancient enemy called the Devourers. Beings from outside our dimension who feed on consciousness itself. The Wardens needed defenders, soldiers willing to stand between the darkness and all life in the galaxy. And the cost? They could never return home. Never see Earth again. Never tell anyone what they'd done. The recording showed Admiral Kang standing before his crew. Taemin couldn't hear the words, but he saw the faces of the men and women listening, saw some crying, saw others standing straighter, saw them all in the end nodding. They chose to stay. The entire fleet? Taemin asked. All of them agreed? Every single person, Sentinel confirmed. They knew Earth would call them failures, would mourn them as dead, but they chose to protect humanity from the shadows, to earn for their species the right to join the galaxy. Why hide it? Donghyun asked. Why not tell Earth the truth? Because the truth would have changed everything. Earth's governments would have panicked. Some would have tried to reach the conduit by force, potentially starting a war humanity couldn't win. Others would have surrendered, accepting quarantine out of fear. Admiral Kang believed humanity needed to grow naturally, to reach for the stars because of hope, not fear. Taemin felt anger rising in his chest. So he let everyone think they died, let his family think he abandoned them. He saved his family, Sentinel said quietly. He saved all of Earth. And he left this ship behind, hidden, waiting for the day when the truth could be told. When humanity would be ready. What makes you think we're ready now? Because the situation has changed. The recording shifted, showing a new image. Space itself seemed to be tearing, and through the tears came things that hurt to look at. The Devourers are breaking through. The First Fleet has been fighting them for 500 years, but the front lines are collapsing. The distress beacon is their final call. They need help from one ship, Jiwoo asked. How can one ship make a difference? Because this ship is special, Sentinel said. I am not just an AI. I carry the patterns, the knowledge, the very essence of humanity's greatest warriors. And this vessel can replicate itself. One ship can become a fleet. Taemin stepped back from the pillar. The images faded. He was back in the vault with Jiwoo and Donghyun staring at him. This is insane, he said. Yes, Sentinel agreed. You're asking me to fly across the galaxy to fight monsters I don't understand. With technology I can't explain. To help people who've been dead for centuries. Essentially correct. And if I say no, then I will wait. But the Devourers will continue to advance. Eventually they will reach Earth. And humanity will face them unprepared, unwarned, and alone. Taemin ran his hands through his hair. He wanted to scream. Instead he laughed, a short bitter sound. My grandmother used to tell me stories, he said. About Admiral Kang, the family legend. She said he was a hero. I thought it was just fantasy, something to make our poor family feel important. Your family is important, Sentinel said. They are the legacy of one of humanity's greatest sacrifices. Some legacy. We live in a salvage town. We dig through trash for money. And yet you are kind. You are brave. You care for your sister. You respect your elders. These are not the qualities of a person who digs through trash. They are the qualities of a leader. Taemin looked at Jiwoo. She was crying silently, tears running down her dusty face. What do you think? He asked her. I think we don't have a choice, she said. If what Sentinel says is true, if the Devourers are coming, then we have to do something. We're not soldiers. Neither was Admiral Kang. Not at first. Donghyun cleared his throat. Kid, I'm old. I've got maybe 10 years left if I'm lucky. I've spent them digging in sand. If you're going on this crazy mission, I'm coming with you. Might as well die doing something that matters. You could die digging in sand, Taemin said. True, but less interesting. Despite everything, Taemin smiled. Then he turned to Sentinel. Before I decide anything, I need to know more. Can this ship really do what you say? Can it cross the galaxy? Yes, prove it. How? Get us out of this hole. Show me space. Show me this ship can actually fly. Sentinel was quiet for a moment. Then the hologram nodded. Understood. Please return to the command center and secure yourselves. I will begin launch procedures. They ran back through the corridors. Taemin threw himself into the captain's chair. Jiwoo and Donghyun found seats at other stations. The ship hummed around them, growing louder. Sentinel, Taemin said. We're 200 meters underground. Correct. How are you going to launch? Carefully, the ship rose. No engines roared. No explosions shook the ground. The Eternal Vigil simply lifted up through 200 meters of sand and rock as if they weren't there. Through the viewport, Taemin watched the desert fall away. They broke through the surface. The orange sky opened around them. The ship accelerated smoothly, climbing higher and higher. Within seconds, they were above the atmosphere. Stars appeared, brilliant and clear. Oh my God, Jiwoo whispered. Earth spread below them, beautiful and blue. Taemin had never been to space before. Few people had. Orbital flights were expensive. Now he was seeing his home from above, all of it, the whole planet. All systems functioning normally, Sentinel reported. Ship fully operational. We are in orbit. Taemin couldn't speak. None of them could. They just stared at Earth, at the stars, at the impossible reality of where they were. Then alarms began to sound. What's that? Taemin asked. We have been detected, Sentinel said calmly. Earth's defense network is tracking us. Multiple incoming transmissions demanding identification. Can you answer them? I can, but they will demand we land. They will attempt to seize this vessel. Once Earth's government learns of this ship's existence, they will not let it go. What do we do? The universe screamed. That was the only way Taemin could describe it. Colors that didn't exist. Sounds that weren't sounds. The feeling of being stretched across infinity while staying perfectly still. Then as suddenly as it began, it stopped. Stars appeared outside the viewport. Different stars. Wrong stars, where are we? Jiwoo asked weakly. She looked pale. Approximately 2,000 light-years from Earth, Sentinel reported. The jump was successful. All crew members survived with minor disorientation. Minor? Donghyun groaned. He was holding his head. I feel like I've been turned inside out. The sensation will pass. Human biology is not designed for faster-than-light travel. Your neural pathways are adjusting. Taemin stood up carefully. His legs felt strange, like they belonged to someone else. How long was that? 3 seconds. We just traveled 2,000 light-years in 3 seconds. Correct. Taemin walked to the viewport. The stars out there were alien and beautiful. Earth's sun was invisible somewhere behind them. They were further from home than any human had ever been. Can we go back? He asked quietly. At any time, Sentinel said, though I advise against it for the moment. Earth's government will have detected our departure. They will be concerned. That's one word for it. Jiwoo joined him at the viewport. We just stole what's probably the most advanced ship in human space. We didn't steal it. It's mine, technically. Try explaining that to the military. She had a point. Taemin turned away from the stars. Sentinel, show me what Earth's response was. A screen appeared showing multiple video feeds. News broadcasts, military transmissions, government statements, all saying the same thing. An unknown vessel had appeared in Earth orbit and fled when challenged. Some called it an alien ship. Others claimed it was a terrorist attack. Nobody knew the truth. Then one transmission caught Taemin's attention. A woman in a military uniform, her face serious. Unknown vessel, this is Colonel Yoon Hae-won of Earth's Unified Defense Council. We tracked your launch point to the Gobi expansion zone. We know who you are. Salvage operator Taemin, registered to Sector 7. You are ordered to return immediately. If this vessel was found on Earth, it belongs to Earth. Failure to comply will result in criminal charges. They found out fast, Dong-hyun said. Of course they did, Jiwoo replied. We didn't exactly hide our excavation permit. Taemin studied Colonel Yoon's face. She didn't look angry. She looked worried. Sentinel, can we send a message back? Yes, though it will take time to reach Earth at this distance. Send this. Colonel Yoon, this is Taemin. The ship is not stolen. It belongs to my family, left by Admiral Kang Hyunwoo 500 years ago. I'm taking it to complete his mission. I'm sorry for the trouble. End message. That's not going to satisfy them, Jiwoo said. I know, but it's the truth. The ship shuddered slightly. Alarms chimed. What now? Taemin asked. We are being scanned, Sentinel said. A vessel has appeared at extreme range. Configuration matches Earth military design. They followed us? Dong-hyun stood up. How? They did not follow. They were already here. This appears to be a patrol ship stationed in this sector. On the screen, a new face appeared. A man in his 50s wearing a captain's uniform. Unknown vessel, this is Captain Lee of the patrol ship Horizon. I've received orders from Earth Command. You are to power down and prepare to be boarded. Taemin looked at Sentinel's hologram. Can they catch us? No, their ship uses conventional propulsion. We are exponentially faster. Then we run again. Inadvisable, Sentinel said. Each time we run, Earth becomes more convinced we are a threat. Eventually, they will respond with overwhelming force. What do you suggest? Diplomacy. Or a demonstration? What kind of demonstration? I can disable the patrol ship's weapon systems without harming the crew. It would prove our technological superiority and our lack of hostile intent. Taemin didn't like it. Attacking an Earth military ship, even non-lethally, seemed like a terrible idea. But what choice did they have? Do it, he said. But don't hurt anyone. Understood. The eternal vigil moved so fast that Taemin barely felt it. One moment they were distant from the patrol ship. The next they were beside it. A beam of blue light touched the military vessel. On the screen, Captain Lee's eyes went wide. His ship's lights flickered and died. Emergency power kicked in, but all the weapon systems were dark. What did you do? The captain shouted. How? Captain Lee, Taemin said, hoping the transmission was reaching them. We mean no harm. We disabled your weapons to prove we could have destroyed you if we wanted to. We didn't. We're not your enemy. Then why are you running? Because we have a mission that can't wait. One day I hope we can explain. For now, please tell Earth that we're not a threat. We're trying to help. Before the captain could respond, Sentinel spoke. Admiral, I detect multiple jump signatures. More Earth ships are arriving. How many? 17. Configuration suggests a full battle group. They're serious, Jiwoo whispered. Taemin made a decision. Sentinel, jump us out of here. Don't hurt any of them, but get us away. Destination? Anywhere they can't follow. The universe screamed again. When it stopped, they were alone in empty space. No Earth ships. No planets. Just stars and darkness. Where are we? Taemin asked. 4,000 light-years from Earth. This region is unexplored by human vessels. Dong-hyun sat down heavily. They're going to keep coming, aren't they? Yes, Sentinel confirmed. Earth now views this vessel as either a security threat or an invaluable resource. Either way, they will not stop pursuing it. So what do we do? Ji-woo asked. Taemin thought about it. They couldn't go back. They couldn't stay ahead of Earth forever. And the mission to the Galactic Core still waited. We need help, he said finally. Sentinel, you said Admiral Kang left this ship behind. Did he leave anything else? Anyone else? Clarify. Other descendants. Other ships. Some kind of support network. Sentinel was quiet for a moment. There is something. Admiral Kang established a fallback position. A hidden station in the Kuiper Belt beyond Neptune. It was staffed by volunteers, descendants of the First Fleet who knew the truth. They know about the mission? Yes, they have been waiting, preparing, just as I have. Can we reach them? Yes, it will require returning to the Sol system, but I can avoid Earth's defenses. Taemin looked at Ji-woo and Dong-hyun. What do you think? I think we're out of our depth, Ji-woo said. We need help, real help. People who understand what we're dealing with. Agreed, Dong-hyun added. No offense, kid, but you're a salvager, not an admiral. We need proper crew, proper support. Taemin nodded. Sentinel, set course for the Kuiper Belt, but carefully. I don't want Earth detecting us. Understood. Plotting indirect route. We will approach from above the orbital plane, where monitoring is minimal. The ship began to move, reality bending around them as they jumped again. This time the sensation was easier to bear. Taemin's body was adapting. Hours passed. They ate from the ship's supplies, food that was 500 years old but perfectly preserved. They explored more of the vessel, finding quarters, equipment rooms, armories filled with weapons they didn't understand. In one room, Taemin found something that made him stop. A picture printed on actual paper. It showed a man in a uniform, Admiral Kang, younger than in the recordings, standing with a woman and 2 small children. His family, Sentinel said, appearing beside Taemin. His wife, son, and daughter. He left them behind when he chose his mission. How did he do it? Taemin asked. How did he leave them? Because he loved them, and he knew that if he refused the mission, if he let Earth be quarantined, their children and grandchildren would never see the stars. He chose their future over his present. Taemin touched the picture.
Did they ever know?
His wife, his children? No, they died thinking he had failed. Thinking he had abandoned them. That's not fair. No, it is not. But it was necessary. Taemin put the picture back carefully. When this is over, when we complete the mission, Earth needs to know the truth. Admiral Kang and the First Fleet deserve to be remembered properly. Agreed. They reached the Kuiper Belt after 2 more jumps. It was a region of ice and rock, far from the sun's warmth. Sentinel guided them through the debris field to a specific set of coordinates. At first, Taemin saw nothing. Then the scanner picked up an energy signature. Something was hidden there, cloaked from view. The station, Sentinel announced. Sanctuary. Established in 2355, 8 years after the First Fleet's departure. The cloak dropped. A massive station appeared, built into a frozen asteroid. Lights glowed in its windows. Ships were docked at its ports, not many but enough. They're real, Ji-woo breathed. There are people there. Sending identification codes, Sentinel said. They are responding. We are cleared to dock. The Eternal Vigil moved toward the station smoothly. As they got closer, Taemin could see people in the windows watching their approach. Waiting. Incoming transmission, Sentinel announced. A new face appeared on the screen. A woman middle-aged with sharp eyes and a military bearing. She looked at Taemin and something in her expression softened. Eternal Vigil, she said. We've been waiting for you for 500 years. My name is Commander An Soo-young, descendant of Admiral Kang's chief engineer. Welcome to Sanctuary. Commander, Taemin replied. We know who you are, she interrupted. We've been tracking salvage tea. The conference room in Sanctuary was bigger than Taemin's entire apartment back on Earth. A massive table dominated the center, surrounded by chairs that had seen 500 years of use. The walls were covered with screens showing star maps, ship designs, and faces. So many faces. The descendants of the First Fleet all waiting for this moment. Commander An sat at the head of the table. Beside her was a man who introduced himself as Yoon Jae-sung, the station's head researcher. He was thin and serious, with gray in his hair despite looking no older than 40. Life extension treatments, he explained when he caught Taemin staring. We've had access to medical technology far beyond Earth's standard. Most of us here are older than we look. How much older? Jiwoo asked. I'm 93, Yoon said. Commander An is 112. Taemin tried not to show his shock. On Earth, living past 80 was considered lucky. These people looked middle-aged. We had to live long, Commander An said, to pass down knowledge, to wait for the right moment. She gestured at the screens. For 500 years we've prepared. Trained pilots. Studied the data Admiral Kang left behind. Built ships using the technology of the Eternal Vigil as a template. We're not many. Only 200 people live on this station, but we're ready. Ready for what exactly? Taemin asked. Sentinel told me about the Devourers, about the First Fleet's mission. But I don't understand what we're supposed to do. Yoon pulled up a holographic display. It showed the galaxy, with a red line marking a path from Earth to the galactic core. The First Fleet has been guarding the outer edges of what's called the barrier, he explained. It's a dimensional wall that keeps the Devourers from entering our reality. For 5 centuries, they've held that line. But 3 months ago, we received the distress beacon. Something has changed. The barrier is failing. Why? Dong-hyun asked. He'd been quiet since they arrived, just watching and listening. We don't know. That's why we need to go there. Yoon zoomed in on the galactic core. The conduit's central hub is located here. The wardens, the ancient AIs that maintain it, are based there. If anyone knows what's happening, they will. And if they don't, Jiwoo asked, then we find out ourselves. And we fix it, Taemin rubbed his face. The weight of everything was crushing. I'm nobody, he said again. A salvager, why me? Why not you, Commander? You've been preparing for this. You know more than I do. Commander An smiled sadly. Because the ship chose you. Because your blood carries the genetic keys that Admiral Kang programmed into every system. Only his direct descendants can access the Eternal Vigil's full capabilities. That's just genetics. No, Yoon interjected. It's more than that. Admiral Kang encoded psychological markers too. The ship doesn't just read DNA, it reads character. You passed tests you didn't know you were taking. What tests? Every decision you made approaching the ship. How you treated your companions. How you chose to flee rather than fight Earth's military. How you asked for help instead of trying to do everything alone. Yoon leaned forward. You think like Admiral Kang thought. That's why the ship accepts you. Before Taemin could respond, alarms blared throughout the station. Report, Commander An snapped. A young woman's voice came through the intercom. Commander, we have ships approaching. Multiple vessels. Earth military configuration. They found us, Jiwoo whispered. Impossible, Yoon said. We've been cloaked for 500 years. Display, Commander An ordered. The screens changed, showing external feeds. 5 ships were approaching Sanctuary. Military vessels with weapons armed. And leading them was a massive battle cruiser. That's the Dauntless, someone said. Fleet Admiral Kwon Sang-woo's personal ship. They sent an admiral, Dong-hyun muttered. They're really serious. A transmission request came through. Commander An looked at Taemin. Your decision, Admiral. Taemin wanted to laugh at the title but didn't. Accept it. The screen showed a man in his 60s wearing an admiral's uniform covered in medals. Admiral Kwon Sang-woo looked tired and angry. Hidden station, he said. This is Fleet Admiral Kwon of Earth's Unified Defense. You are harboring a stolen vessel and fugitives wanted for questioning. Surrender them immediately or face military action. Admiral Kwon, Commander An replied before Taemin could speak. I am Commander An Soo-young. This station has existed under Earth's protection for 500 years, established by Admiral Kang Hyun-woo of the First Fleet. We are not harboring fugitives. We are continuing a mission your government has forgotten. I don't care about ancient history, Kwon said. That ship represents technology far beyond anything we possess. It belongs to Earth. It belongs to Admiral Kang's heir, Commander An shot back. By law and by right. There is no law covering ships that have been buried for 5 centuries. Taemin stood up. Admiral Kwon, this is Taemin. Can I speak? Kwon's eyes focused on him. You're the salvager. Yes, and I'm Admiral Kang Hyun-woo's descendant. The ship is mine by inheritance. Inheritance requires legal documentation. Death certificates, wills, you have none of these. Because my ancestor isn't dead. He's still out there fighting a war you don't know about. Kwon's expression didn't change. I've read the reports. Ancient aliens, dimensional monsters, secret missions. It sounds like fantasy. Then how do you explain the ship? How do you explain technology that can cross thousands of light years in seconds? I don't need to explain it. I just need to secure it. Quan leaned forward. Son, I understand you think you're doing something noble, but you're out of your depth. That ship is dangerous. In the wrong hands, it could threaten all of Earth. Surrender it peacefully and we can discuss what happens next. And if I don't, then I take it by force. Commander An touched Taemin's arm. We can fight them off. Our defenses are strong. And then what? Taemin asked. We become enemies of Earth? Start a war? Sometimes war is necessary. No. Taemin looked at Admiral Quan. Sir, I need to show you something. Give me 1 hour. Let me prove what I'm saying is true. I'm not interested in stories. Not stories, proof. Real, verifiable data from the First Fleet. Everything Admiral Kang left behind. If after seeing it you still think we're wrong, then we'll talk about surrendering. Quan was quiet for a long moment. 1 hour. But my weapons stay armed, and if you try to flee, I will fire. Understood. The transmission ended. Commander An rounded on Taemin. What are you doing? Trying to avoid a war, Taemin said. Sentinel, can you prepare a data package? Everything about the First Fleet, the conduit, the devourers. Everything that proves we're telling the truth. Affirmative, Sentinel's voice replied. However, I must warn you. Admiral Kang specifically ordered that Earth not learn these truths prematurely. Do you think 500 years is premature? That depends on Earth's current state. I do not have sufficient data. Then we'll find out. Taemin turned to Yoon. You said you've been studying Admiral Kang's data for decades. What convinced you it was real? The technical specifications, Yoon said immediately. The ship designs, the energy readings, the mathematics behind faster-than-light travel. You can't fake that level of detail. It's either real or someone spent hundreds of years creating the most elaborate hoax in history. Then that's what we show him. The technical data. Things that can be verified. An hour later, Admiral Quan came aboard Sanctuary. He brought 2 guards and a science officer, a woman named Cho Mi-young who looked excited despite the tense situation. Taemin met them at the docking port. Thank you for coming. I haven't decided anything yet, Quan replied. Show me this proof. They went to the research lab. Yoon had prepared displays showing ship schematics, energy equations, and material analyses. Cho Mi-young went directly to the data, her eyes widening. These calculations are real, she whispered. The quantum resonance patterns, the dimensional mathematics. Sir, this isn't fantasy. This is actual working theory for faster-than-light travel. Could it be fabricated? Quan asked. Fabricated how? To fake this, you'd need to solve problems we've been working on for centuries. Problems that we still haven't solved. Yoon brought up more data. We've tested these designs. Built smaller versions. Everything works exactly as described. Show me, Quan demanded. They took him to the hangar. 3 ships sat there, smaller than the Eternal Vigil, but clearly built using similar technology. These are our patrol vessels, Commander An explained. We've had them for 50 years. They can't cross the galaxy like the Eternal Vigil, but they can reach the outer colonies in hours instead of months. Quan walked around one of the ships, touching it carefully. Why keep this secret? This technology could revolutionize Earth's expansion. Because it comes with knowledge that Earth isn't ready for, Taemin said. The moment people learn about the conduit, about the galactic civilizations out there, everything changes. Politics, economy, society, everything. People have a right to know, do they? Admiral Kang didn't think so. He thought humanity needed to grow on its own first, to reach a certain level of maturity before facing the galaxy. That's not his decision to make. But he made it anyway, and he sacrificed everything to protect that choice. Quan was quiet, looking at the ships. Finally, he turned to Cho Mi-young. Your assessment? Everything I've seen suggests they're telling the truth, she said. The jumps became easier. By the 3rd day, Taemin barely felt the dimensional shift anymore. His body had adapted to something humans weren't meant to experience. It worried him sometimes late at night when he couldn't sleep. What was he becoming? You're thinking too much again, Jiwoo said. She'd entered the bridge quietly, carrying 2 cups of something that smelled like coffee but wasn't. How can you tell? You get this look, like you're trying to solve a math problem in your head. She handed him a cup. It's synthetic, but Sanctuary synthesizers are good. Tastes almost real, Taemin sipped it. She was right. Almost real. like everything else about their situation. Where are we? Jiwoo asked, looking at the viewport. 15,000 light-years from Earth, halfway to the galactic core. Halfway. We've been traveling for 3 days and we're halfway across the galaxy. She shook her head. I still can't believe it's real. Neither can I. They stood together in silence, watching the stars stream past. Every few hours, the fleet jumped again. Between jumps, they traveled at slower speeds, giving everyone time to rest and adjust. Admiral Kwon had set up a command center in one of the Eternal Vigil's conference rooms. He spent most of his time there with Cho Mi-young, analyzing data, asking questions, trying to understand the impossible. Taemin found him there that afternoon. The Admiral looked exhausted. Not sleeping well? Taemin asked. Would you? Every time I close my eyes, I think about what we're doing. How far we are from home, how nobody knows where we are. Kwon rubbed his face. I've been in the military for 40 years. I've seen combat, lost people I cared about. But this is different. Scared? Terrified, Kwon laughed bitterly. A fleet admiral, terrified like a recruit on his first mission. If it helps, I'm terrified too. You hide it well. I'm a good actor. Cho Mi-young looked up from her workstation. Gentlemen, you might want to see this. They joined her. She'd been analyzing the distress beacon signal. What is it? Kwon asked. The beacon isn't just a call for help. It's also transmitting data. Ship positions, tactical information, casualty reports. She pulled up a display. The First Fleet isn't one fleet anymore. It's dozens of battle groups spread across thousands of light years. And according to this data, they're losing. The display showed red indicators. Failed defensive positions, destroyed ships, abandoned stations. How many ships have they lost? Taemin asked. In the last 6 months, nearly 40% of their fleet. The number hit like a physical blow. 40%. Thousands of people dead or missing. What's killing them? Kwon demanded. The Devourers. The data includes tactical reports. They're not like anything we've fought before. They don't use conventional weapons. They consume things. Matter, energy, even space-time itself. Can they be killed? Yes, but it takes enormous firepower. And for everyone destroyed, more appear. Taemin studied the tactical display. Where's the main defensive line? Cho Mi-young zoomed in. Here, a structure called the Bastion. It's massive, possibly the largest artificial construct in the galaxy. The First Fleet has been using it as their headquarters. How far? At our current speed? 2 days. And the distress beacon? Coming from the Bastion. Kwon straightened. Then that's where we're going. How many ships does the First Fleet have stationed there? According to the data, approximately 200 vessels. But many are damaged. Some are barely functional. 200 ships, Kwon repeated. Fighting for 500 years. They must be held together with hope and prayer. Actually, Cho Mi-young said, the technology is incredibly durable. Ships designed to last centuries. But even the best equipment breaks down eventually. Sentinel's voice interrupted. Admiral, incoming transmission. Source is unknown. Not from Earth, not from any recorded frequency. From where? Taemin asked. Unknown. The signal appears to be using the conduit network. Can you trace it? Attempting. Stand by. A face appeared on the screen. Not human. The being had 4 eyes arranged in a square pattern, skin that shimmered like oil on water, and a mouth that moved in ways that made Taemin's stomach turn. Greetings, the being said. Its voice was translated somehow, coming through clear despite obviously not being in any human language. I am Envoy Ral of the Tethered Collective. Your ships have been detected using conduit gates. Please identify yourselves. Nobody moved. Nobody spoke. They were seeing for the first time an alien intelligence. Taemin found his voice. I am Taemin of Earth. These are human vessels. The alien's eyes widened, all 4 of them. Human? Impossible. Humans are restricted to their home system. They are not permitted conduit access. It's a long story. I do not require stories. I require authorization codes. The alien's tone became sharper. How did you obtain conduit technology? From Admiral Kang Hyun-woo, Taemin said. Of the First Fleet. All 4 eyes widened further. The human guardians? They still live? Yes, we're going to join them at the Bastion. The alien was silent for a long moment. Then, I must verify this. Transmitting your information to Warden protocols. Stand by. The screen went blank. That was an alien, Jiwoo whispered. She'd come to the bridge during the conversation. An actual alien? Yes, Cho Mi-young said. She sounded excited rather than afraid. Probably from one of the species that use the conduit network. Did you see the physiological differences? The eye placement suggests 360-degree vision. And the skin coloration might indicate later, Quan interrupted. Right now, we need to figure out what we just walked into. The screen activated again. This time it wasn't an alien. It was something else. A face made of light, geometric, and impossible. I am Warden Epsilon 7, it said. The voice was neither male nor female, neither warm nor cold, just present. You claim to be humans associated with the Guardian fleet. Yes, Taemin replied. I'm Admiral Kang's descendant. This is his ship, the Eternal Vigil, scanning vessel. Stand by. Silence. Then, ship identification confirmed. You are indeed operating First Fleet technology. Why have you activated it now? Because of the distress beacon. Because the First Fleet is in trouble. The First Fleet is always in trouble. That is their purpose. They're losing, Taemin said firmly. 40% casualties in 6 months. Whatever's happening out there, it's different now. The warden's expression didn't change, it didn't really have expressions. But something in its presence shifted. You are correct, it said finally. The situation has deteriorated. The Devourers have found a way to strengthen their incursions. The barrier weakens daily. The Guardian fleet fights bravely, but they are outnumbered. Then help them, Quan said. You're ancient, powerful. You built the conduit. Surely you can fight. We are bound by laws older than your species. We maintain, we guide, but we do not fight. That is why we require guardians. That's convenient, Quan said bitterly. It is necessary. Direct intervention would destabilize the very reality we protect. Taemin stepped forward. Then what do we do? How do we help? The Eternal Vigil contains technology that can be replicated. One ship can become many, but it requires resources and time. We don't have time. Then you must buy time. Reach the bastion. Coordinate with Fleet Commander Kang Min-seo. She will explain what is needed. Kang Min-seo? Taemin's heart skipped. She's family? She is Admiral Kang's great-granddaughter. She has commanded the defense for 200 years. 200 years. Taemin tried to imagine it. Fighting for 2 centuries, never going home, never resting. What kind of person could endure that? We're 3 days away from the bastion, Taemin said. Will they survive that long? Unknown. The Devourers are pressing hard. But if any force in this galaxy can hold 3 more days, it is the humans. They are remarkably stubborn. We are, Quan agreed. It's our best quality. Or your worst, depending on perspective. The warden's image flickered. I am transmitting updated navigation data to your ship. Follow it precisely. The route I am providing will take you through zones the Devourers have not yet penetrated. Travel safely, humans. The galaxy watches to see if you are truly worthy of what your ancestors began. The screen went blank. Well, Dong-hyun said. He'd been standing quietly in the corner. That was something. That was first contact, Cho Mi-young said. She was shaking with excitement. True first contact. With multiple species. Do you understand what this means? It means we're not alone, Jiwoo said softly. It means we never were, Quan corrected. And Earth has been kept in the dark about it for 500 years. For good reason, Taemin said. Imagine if Earth learned about this before we were ready. The panic, the wars over conduit access, the fear. People still have the right to know. Maybe, but that's a problem for later. Right now we need to reach the bastion, Sentinel spoke. New course data received from Warden Epsilon 7. It is considerably longer than our previous route, but avoids all known Devourer-controlled zones. Estimated travel time 2 days, 6 hours. Plot it, Taemin ordered. All ships prepare for immediate jump. The fleet jumped again. And again. Each time the stars grew denser. They were approaching the galactic core, where billions of suns crowded together in a space that should have been impossible. On the second day, they saw their first sign of the war. A ship drifted in space, dead and dark. It was human in design but wrong somehow. Too old, too damaged, held together by patches and desperate.